The Rose of Moods. Watercolour illustration by Vladimir London.
In this video lesson, you'll discover how to create a watercolor portrait using the multi-layer painting technique.
This artwork was exhibited at the International Watercolour Exhibition in Spain and is also featured in the printed exhibition catalogue. I will do this illustration on Saunders Waterford high-quality watercolour paper. The embossed watermark helps distinguish between the front and back sides of this paper. First, I wet the front side of this paper with a sponge and, when it's fully wet, I turn it over and place it on the clean wooden board, face side down. Then, I thoroughly wet the reverse side of this sheet and let it absorb the water for several minutes. When the paper expands, I place the wooden board on top of the paper and will use a staple gun to affix the paper sheet to the board. I start stretching the paper by stapling it in the middle of the long sides. Then, I do the same for the short sides. When this sheet is secured in place, I work my way along all sides towards the corners, and, at the end, do all 4 corners. Then, I can flip the board over and let it dry, face up, for several hours. When the paper is fully dry, it is perfectly stretched, and I can transfer the drawing onto it. To begin with, I'll outline in thin graphite pencil a white frame which will be a part of this design. I do it in thin lines using a ruler. With the frame marked down, I can now stick the tracing paper to the board on one side, using masking tape. The reason I do it on one side is to be able to flip up the tracing paper to see how the design is transferring. I use a black pen to clearly see which graphite lines are done and which remain. Also, from time to time, I check the progress of this step. To make the job easier, I will mask the white frame around this artwork with masking fluid. First, I wet a cheap synthetic brush with liquid soap and then dip it in the masking fluid bottle. I will carefully go along the frame line, masking it freehand. For the first wash, I'll use a natural hair round mop brush from Escoda. I pre-mixed 3 colours, from yellow to orange, to make a gradated wash, which I will do wet on dry, starting with the yellow colour. The masked frame makes it easier to keep a very straight line of the margin, but I will paint around the circle freehand, without any masking. After painting with only yellow colour at the top, I'm now adding the orange pigment and blending it smoothly with the wet paint on paper.